Well, I've been putting out a lot of content. One of the playlists on my channel that I've been developing content for is simply a recital of articles from my blog. Be careful, people. It's really stupid out there. And one of the earliest entries into my blog was my memory of the destruction of the World Trade Center in 2001, September 11, 2001. Now, before I get into this, I should say, I'm an entertainer, I'm not a historian, I am not a scientist of any sort. But I can tell you a little bit about September 11, 2001 in New York City, because I was there. 6:30 a.m. I looked out the airplane window at the Golden Towers, the twin towers of the World Trade Center, for the last time. We had just lifted off out of LaGuardia Airport, and I was thinking to myself as I looked at the World Trade Center, I wish I'd gotten up into those. I had visited the Empire State Building. I had visited MoMA. I love MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. I had spent a lot of time in Central Park. I was in love with New York City. I'm still in love with New York City, even though I haven't been back to New York City since then. It's been more than 20 years now. But I was in love with New York City. And I was tired. I had spent a lot of time awake in New York City. And there is no sedative I've ever found that is more powerful than the sound of a jet engine. So we probably weren't even over New Jersey yet before I was sound asleep. And on my way to Atlanta to return to Oklahoma, where I lived at the time. About 8:30, I guess, in the morning, a jolt woke me up. And it felt like the plane had suddenly accelerated, like the pilots had kicked it in the ass. I didn't know this, but they were pulling everything out of the sky at that point. They must have known something was wrong. They landed me an hour early at the Atlanta airport and a mile away from the terminal that I was supposed to catch. The Atlanta hub is one of the biggest hubs in the United States. And so I didn't know any better. I had no idea why. Nobody was telling anybody anything at that point. And so I just walked the mile from the terminal that I was at to the terminal that I needed to be at to catch my connecting flight to Oklahoma City. That never happened. I sat down at a bar in that terminal, and there were two television sets behind the bar. And one of them had a basketball game on, and the other one had this familiar looking building burning on CNN. The basketball game was turned up, so I asked the barista to turn the basketball game down and turn the news up. And just at the moment that she turned the news up, we heard the reporter scream into the microphone, "Holy shit!" as the second plane hit the second tower, live on CNN. Well, I realized that I wasn't going to get a flight to Oklahoma City, that nothing would be flying anytime soon. So I immediately got up and went in search of a rental car. I was not the first person to get that news, and there were no rental cars. Or there may have been some left, but there wouldn't have been any left by the time I got through those lines. A lot of people were lined up for the rental cars. So I called and reserved a hotel room and found my way there and spent the next day in Atlanta. And at that point, other rental cars were coming back into the airport from the regional airports, because nobody was flying to those either or flying back from them. So I was able to get a car at that point to take to Oklahoma City. And I should say that I had a little bit of drama with my luggage before I got to the hotel room. You know, I was standing around the terminal waiting for all the luggage to come up, and it turned out that my luggage was among the last 5 pieces to come up. So I spent 8 hours waiting for my luggage in the airport. And during that time, I ended up helping reunite other people with their luggage, just simply because I needed something to do. So, they would call the names and somebody would be asleep, and so I'd walk around yelling the name because I've got a loud voice. And some people woke up, "That's my name." I said, "Well, they got your luggage over there." So the next day I got a car, and I stopped at some sort of little convenience store. I had stopped at some sort of little convenience store before I got the car in downtown Atlanta, and I got a copy of the new Yes album, which had an official release date, and I've got the album. It has a release date of September 11, 2001. That was the day they were supposed to release the album. Well, they pulled back the release of the album in light of the events, but there must have been some of those CDs out there. I didn't have a CD player with me, but the car that I rented had a CD player in it. And so I'm driving from Atlanta to Oklahoma City, listening to lyrics like, "Standing here on sacred ground. Sometimes it's a mad world, let it be. Don't take love for granted. In this world, I truly do believe there must be a safer place." And I was thinking, how did they know? It was a really spooky long ride back to Oklahoma City. But I must say, of the Magnification album, it's one of my favorite albums, and not because of that experience, but simply because of the orchestration on it is really very, very nice, and fundamental to the songs. But that's my memory of having been in New York City, and I loved New York City. I had actually been in Washington, D.C. a few days before, and of course Washington, D.C. got hit the same day that New York City got hit. Pentagon got hit. And back in the 90s, when the Murrah Building in Oklahoma City was bombed, I had been in Oklahoma City 2 days before that, and I remember going to a meeting the day after the bombing in Oklahoma City, and I just accidentally knocked my briefcase over and it went a whoomp, and I could immediately tell who had been in Oklahoma City for that particular explosion, because they had startle reactions. So it's odd. I felt that it was odd that I had been so close to so many of these terrorist attacks. But that's my memory of having been in New York City, taking out of LaGuardia Airport just hours before the first of the Twin Towers was hit. Again, my name is Robert Bruce Scott, and the name of my blog is Be Careful, People. It's really stupid out there.